iPhone 17 versus iPhone 17 Pro, which one should you buy? Let's find out in this video. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And the big talk of the town this year has been the king of value, the iPhone 17. But this phone doesn't exist in a vacuum here. When you compare it next to the iPhone 17 Pro, you have to understand it still exists. So, which one should you go with? They're both 6.3 inches. They both offer a compelling package, but only one should be getting your money this year if you are deciding to upgrade. And let's break it down by starting with the price to value ratio. And I don't know why I have the Pro as the wallpaper. Let me go ahead and put the iPhone 17's wallpaper back on there. But let's start with the price to value ratio between these two. So this one comes in at $799. I do have it in what I think is the best color this year for the 17, which is the sage color option. Some would argue that's the Mist Blue. I don't really, I see so many blue phones. I'm just tired of blue. Personally, that's just my take. So much so I actually returned my sky blue iPhone Air for the space black. I'll talk about the iPhone Air again soon, but if you were wondering, in the future you're going to see the iPhone Air in space black on the channel. Back to the value though, we do have a dual camera setup here. That's pretty nice. We also have camera control on here, also have a power button, and we do have a 6.3. So we basically have an iPhone 16 Pro and a 17 body here with that display. We also do have ourselves the action button and volume rockers. Now, one thing about this design though is it's very last year design. It's very iPhone 16, so the overall look still clean. Does have the vertical camera array, and some would argue that this is the best phone in the lineup in terms of looks. If you just want a clean, simple iPhone, some would argue the design fashion piece is going to be the iPhone Air. But when we compare it to the iPhone 17 Pro, which you're going to pay about $300 more for, we do have ourselves the triple camera array on the plateau, and we do have the dual design here with the glass being a little bit more white around the silver body. This is a little bit more harder to recommend in terms of overall clean looks. I think it's more standout though, so more people are going to recognize this as the new phone. The plateau definitely sticks off the body a bit. I do think the camera control button looks a little bit different, and the overall phone is a little bit more rounded than the iPhone 17, so it feels a little more comfortable in the hand in terms of the corners, but it's strikingly obviously how much this phone weighs over the 17. It also does have this 5G antenna up here, which I do not like on this phone. This definitely doesn't look nice, but over here you do see the antenna lines there, action button, volume rockers. Overall, to me, it is a striking look because it's different, so definitely like that it looks different, but at its core, it's still just your standard 6.3-inch iPhone with just a couple design changes that make it look like this year's new phone. On the whole, though, it feels a little bit heftier, and I think for a clean, simple look, I think the 17 looks a little bit better, personally. But if you want that more, it's the latest phone, techie look, this is the latest iPhone to drop, this one definitely looks like it right here on the right. Also, the silver color is pretty clean in the iPhone 17 Pro. Somebody said this phone looks like it's from space in my comments, so I don't know where they got that from, but I definitely let me know if you agree with that one down below. But that's how I feel about the price to value and the overall. You're getting a good battery in here on the iPhone 17 Pro, but you're getting good battery life on here, better than the 16 Pro on the iPhone 17. And so I think when you combine all of these things together, the iPhone 17 probably offers you better value for the money. That doesn't mean that it's the latest look though, because it does look like a 16, but it does give you the most value for money. ProMotion display, great dual cameras, center stage camera on the front, bright display just like the Pros, and you're getting like 95% of what those phones offer with just a different design. So that's why the price to value proposition has really been being pushed across the internet. Over here, it's $1099 now, so they dropped the 128 gigs. So you're actually paying more this year for a Pro, which I don't like. I wish it was $999 for 256 gig, but you're paying more for the Pro this year. and which is arguably a pretty similar phone to the 16 Pro, but with a cheaper aluminum build, but also giving you better thermals and better camera zoom range, as well as the center stage improvements, along with better battery life. So at its core, it's still a better phone than the 16 Pro, but I think you're paying for it, so it doesn't feel quite like the value proposition here. So that's going to be the 17. Now the weight in the hand, the feel in the hand, I got to give it to the 17 for the weight. It just feels better to hold. It's lighter, and that's the main reason. It's mostly down to the weight. It's pretty noticeable, whereas the 17 Pro just feels a little bit thick, a little bit chunky in the hand there. But it does feel smoother down here where it wraps around the palm. So if you're okay with a little bit more weight, I do think these corners feel better on the 17 Pro. So if you like a better feel in the palm of your hand, go with the 17 Pro. If you like a lighter feel, but still want the dual cameras and don't want to pay for the air, go with the 17. It's the second lightest iPhone in the 17 lineup this year. So that's how I feel about the weight and the ergonomics of these two. In terms of reaching on both of these phones, the reach is pretty similar. They are 6.3 inch panels, so the reach is about the same. However, you can see right here with the plateau, you definitely are gonna feel that bump somewhere when you're reaching and moving your finger around the back. Also, I find myself touching the LiDAR a lot on here just to like place my finger somewhere to hold this phone, so you might smudge that up a little bit. Over here, it's kind of like out of the way. Everything's kind of out of the way when you're holding the phone. So ergonomically reaching the 17, I think, is a little bit easier to maneuver it as well, just because of the lighter weight of the phone. Now, from a build quality perspective, the actual structure of the phone feel kind of similar, although the iPhone 17 Pro feels a little bit tougher. I think it's because it's heftier or something. It just feels a little tougher in the hand. So if you like a slightly more stronger build quality feel, you might like the 17 Pro a little bit more, but the iPhone 16 has got that typical, I say 16, 17, that's how similar they look. The iPhone 17 has that typical iPhone build of last year. So if you loved what they were doing last year and you don't really like where their direction went this year, you'll like the build of the iPhone 17. If you like the two-tone look and you want something more rounded and aluminum, and you weren't a fan of the titanium or the stainless steel bodies, you like aluminum phones, you will probably really like the iPhone 17 Pro's build. But they are saying that, you know, there are scratches happening, but those were already mentioned by Apple to be some of the MagSafe chargers, and people have been placing on and being a little bit rough in the stores with, so they're updating those. And on the silver option, you're barely ever going to see it. Throw a case on it, it's no big deal. Yeah, but from a build quality perspective, both of them are pretty darn tough, to say the least. They both do have some strong scratch resistance as well on the displays. Ceramic Shield 2 on the displays with a Mohs level 5. And an anti-reflective coating comes for the iPhone 17 Pro though. So it have better viewing angles than the iPhone 17, maybe a little bit better, less glare than the 17 as well. But from a scratch resistance perspective, both iPhones are the same, so it's not a real big thing. All right, so let's talk about display quality. Something that's really strange this year is that if you didn't know this, the iPhone 17 actually has more of a screen to body ratio. So there's actually more screen on the 17 than the iPhone 17 Pro, just by one small percentage. But still, there's actually a little bit more screen on this phone right here. The screen to body ratio on the iPhone 17 is 90.1%, and then on the right it's 89.4%. So it's slightly less screen somehow on the iPhone 17 Pro. Both of them do have 460 pixels per inch, and both of them are 19:9 aspect ratios. So when you do go ahead and read anything on either of these phones, it's not going to be a major issue whatsoever. Both of them are very, very sharp and very, very bright. One of the best things is both of these can hit 3000 nits of brightness outdoors. That's brighter than most of the competition when it comes to peak brightness. The 17 Pro has 1000 nits typical, and so does the 17. So both of them usably, like the usable brightness is going to be the same. And when we go outdoors, you can hit even higher brightnesses than ever before. Both of them are HDR10 and both of them are OLED. So these are essentially the same exact displays here on both of them, with just a little bit more anti-reflective coatings for the iPhone 17 Pro. That's about it. Other than that, you are rocking the same panel on each. So I wouldn't say pick the 17 Pro for the better display. It's no longer the option. It's no longer a thing anymore. So which one feels better to use when it comes to software? Which one should you buy in this respect? Now, the answer is neither. They actually feel exactly the same because they're both running iOS 26 on board. So when we go ahead and swipe through Control Center, it's the exact same experience. When we go ahead and do basically anything, it's basically the same exact experience. And so you can use these clear icons. You can do it on both phones. So iOS 26, I think, is the real star of the show this year. When it comes to the actual iPhone experience, it definitely feels quite a bit different. And just all the liquid glass UI elements and feature updates that came to this software definitely makes the iPhone experience feel different just based on getting the software update of iOS 26. So picking one of these, you're going to have the same longevity in terms of software support. The experience will feel identical. So I wouldn't pick either when it comes to that. Unless you want the inclusion of some pro features in the camera, then there's really no difference in how these softwares operate on either phone. Both of them do support the Apple Intelligence features as well as visual intelligence. So it's a draw here in the software. Now, one area where they do differ is from performance. Now, I haven't done a proper speed test between these yet, but I will. But I can already tell you that the 17 Pro is going to be more powerful. It has the Apple A19 Pro chip. This has the A19. But what's good about the A19 is it's still clocked at 4.25 gigahertz. Basically the same as the 17 Pro, but you do get that older 8 gigs of RAM. Now that 8 gigs of RAM is not really the end of the world for either phone. If we take a look at some of their CPU history, you'll see that I did get a pretty good score there for the iPhone 17. We haven't done the speed test yet on this one, but we have a very solid score there for the iPhone 17. And generally, when it comes to performance, the OLED with the 120 hertz is what's really going to make you feel like these are kind of the same phones. General consumers will pick this up in the store and be like, they're the same thing. One's just cheaper. Give me the cheaper phone. Some people will say, nah, I want the nicer looking one. Give me the Pro. Some people will say, give me those cameras. I don't want that. But in terms of performance, they're going to pick them up and say, same thing. Just comes down to the colors and the cameras. That's what it comes down to for me. Maybe the battery life. So that's about it. We will do a speed test between these to see if there's any substantial difference. It might come in the way of RAM management, maybe video rendering, pushing them in games, and things of that sort, but it's only going to be a little bit ahead. It's not going to be like way ahead on the Pro. So still a strong value proposition there for the iPhone 17 in the area of performance. Okay, so let's talk about the cameras here. So we do have a dual 48 megapixel camera on the iPhone 17, which is a really, really nice setup over here. You didn't have that before. So let's go ahead and click on the camera here and you'll see right there. I like the setup on the 17. It gives me basically everything I want. Ultra wide does give me the 1x. I can still go up to 10 times zoom, 2x. I think it's a very good setup here. It gives, I think, most consumers what they need without any real complaints. It gives you enough zoom, gives you the ultra wide, gives you the ultra wide on the front. This phone does basically everything that I think an average user would use and not have to say, oh, I'm missing something on this phone. Unless you're some of those people around that super far reach, that's literally it. You know, if you want that extra zoom. Other than that, it does pretty good. And most of those are specs, even doing spatial video. So there's a lot on offer there for this camera. Also, the camera control makes us feel like you got a pro-like feature on there, like what I said last year with the 16. And then if you click over here, you do have styles and exposures, different aspect ratios. So I would say that the iPhone 17 base is pretty much a pro iPhone camera without the zoom. So if you look over here, and that's one of the things I like about this base 17. I don't feel like I'm sacrificing too much in the camera. So I really do like that. But when we are talking about camera, you're going up to a triple 48 megapixel here. So it's no contest. The iPhone 17 Pro is the king when it comes to camera. 4 times zoom, cropping in on that sensor for 8 times zoom, which is pretty sharp, even at the 8x range. You also do have macro modes on board here. And then you have different millimeter ranges you can go between. And then if you go over here, you got the same features you've seen on the iPhone. But over here, you can do 4K video on the iPhone 17 Pro at 120 frames a second. We go down here into the camera area, though. This is where the iPhone 17 Pro will shine. Go to Formats, and you'll have to use things like the ProRAW and resolution controls. Over here, ProRAW formats. And if you're doing studio grade video on tripods or doing anything of that sort, you do want to get this phone. But it's not just for those pro people who are doing pro things. It's also for those people who are headed out and they're going to concerts, they're going on vacations, they're zooming in on things very far in the distance. These phones are, there's no other choice. They're the most versatile on the planet when it comes to iPhones right here. You get multiple different lenses, and it's like having multiple cameras in your pocket. Whereas this one is also like having multiple cameras, but it's a little bit of a sacrifice, especially when you're trying to zoom and get sharp zoom photos. If you ever go to an event or something and you're sitting in the nosebleeds, the iPhone 17 is not going to look great. This one, on the other hand, will look great. So just think about how much do you need that reach and how much do you need that pro level 4K, studio grade type video. Then you'll want the iPhone 17 Pro and the area camera. On the front, they're basically the same though. Now, when it comes to battery life, we do have a smaller battery on the iPhone 17, but it's up over the iPhone 16. So it is nearly at 4,000 milliamps, but not quite. 3692 on board here. This does charge similarly fast as the iPhone 17 Pro, which is nice. So that's not a real big issue. It does have MagSafe charging as well, as most iPhones do now. But the real deal with this one is that it does have better battery life than last year's 16 Pro, which was already good. So this is a great value overall. It is going to last a little bit less than the iPhone over here, because this one, especially the eSIM model in America, is going to be giving you the 4252 milliamp hour battery. And because Apple was able to put eSIM only, they were able to extend it a little bit, which is going to give you longer life than the iPhone 17. Now, this longer life could be in the span of just maybe an hour or two, but that could be the difference right there that makes you go with the Pro. So if battery life's important, the Pro is the better option, but you got to weigh if that $300 difference for maybe like an hour and a half is better on the iPhone 17 Pro for you. Like, is that worth it to you to pay that extra amount? So that's really how I would look at it, battery life. If you want the better battery and you're willing to pay the extra, you are going to sacrifice having to hold a heavier phone, but you do get yourself that longer life over here. If you do want really good battery life as well, and you want a lighter phone, but you want it even better than the Air, the 17 is a great option as well for you. So the audio differences are not substantial. These do have dual speakers, unlike the iPhone Air. So we do have the speaker down here. We also have one integrated into the top over here. The phone gets pretty loud under, most music standpoint. So if you're playing things through a speaker, it's pretty good. The 17 Pro, however, does boom just a little bit louder. I measured about a decibel louder over here. So just about 1 decibel louder. It's not substantial, but the Pro is slightly louder. Also, if you notice right there, it looks like we have more microphone holes on the iPhone 17 Pro. And also, we don't see the antenna line over there. So you might have better sound quality when talking to people. In addition, you might have a little bit better speakerphone quality. So that is something to keep in mind. Again, it's not substantial, but if you do a lot of those things, talking on the phone, speakerphone calls, you are going to benefit from the 17 Pro just a little bit more than the iPhone 17. Now, when it comes to phone call quality, network connectivity, these were about the same. We also do have to talk about some other connectivity things. Both of these do support Bluetooth 6.0, so that's basically not going to be an issue when connecting to different Bluetooth devices here. This should be pretty much the same. The iPhone 17 Pro does have Wi-Fi 6E though. This one does not have the 6E. They both have 7, and they both do support hotspots and stuff of that sort. Do keep in mind though that the 17 Pro is still a better USB-C connection. This is 3.2 Gen 2. Both of them do have display ports, so you could beam these up to a monitor. However, this is a USB-C 2.0, so these are definitely going to transfer slower on the base 17s. But here's the deal. A lot of people buying the base 17 aren't pros, so they're not going to be transferring a bunch of stuff over to their computer, which means that faster transfer speed probably doesn't matter too much. Both of them are going to airdrop at about the same clip, so that's not really that much different either. Now, they both do have the same special features, though, like emergency SOS, Find My via satellite, so that's not really anything special to the iPhone 17 Pro to make you say get this one. So they both have those same features right there as well. The color options, though, are quite a bit different. You can get this in the silver color, the cosmic orange like I have in my iPhone 17 Pro Max, or a deep blue. Now over here you have multiple different color options, including this one right here. You also do have this in mist blue, white, black, and lavender. So if you want to get this in different colors, there's a little bit more color options for the regular 17, as you can see right there, but it's not it really just comes down to what color options you like the most. But there's quite a few color options this year, which is quite nice. So we covered every single thing about the phones, and the final verdict is in. Which phone should you buy? The thing is that this is a very subjective thing based on your circumstances, based on what you like, what you prefer. I do think from an objective point of view, the 17 Pro is clearly the better phone. It has more specifications. It has a bigger battery cell. It has more cameras. It is their more futuristic design here of the two, the more newer look here. And the iPhone 17 does carry over 16 with some 16 Pro-like features, OLED 6.3 on board, fast chip on here, so that's quite nice. Thermal management will be better on the 17 Pro, but as a final verdict, I say you should buy the iPhone 17 if you don't care about a couple of things. Long-reaching zoom. If this does not bother you, the 17 is a better value. More storage for less money. 17 is a better value. Number 3, you don't like the look of this two-tone iPhone 17 Pro. This is for you. Number 4, you wanted a 16 Pro last year, but it was out of your price range, or you wanted like a Pro phone before, like features, OLED, promotion, but you always thought those are too high just for those features. This is the phone for you. And also, if you just want a lighter iPhone, but you don't want the Air because you don't want the sacrifices that come with the Air or the price tag, this is the phone for you. This can reach so many different scenarios, and it's why I think it's going to sell very well. However, I do think the 17 Pro is still the better option for a lot of type of users. Number 1, those people who like to be on the latest and greatest every year, and they wanted it a more form factor that's easier to hold than the Max. This is for you. If you want cameras that you can place on a tripod, replace your camera possibly, use multiple different accessories, and get your Pro on, literally, not just saying I have the Pro phone, actually using it like a Pro, there's no other option. You're the type of person who wants to zoom far on your memories. Maybe you're trying to zoom. You're in a different city and you want to zoom in on a building or something that's super far out of your reach, or you're in an event and you need to zoom in on something. This is good to go. You're in nature. You're trying to zoom in on some wildlife you're trying to see, and you're trying to get close in on this without being digital zoomed too much. The 17 Pro is for you. Also, if you want a thicker phone that you're willing to sacrifice for battery life because you want more battery life, the 17 Pro is for you. So, and basically, you just are a tech enthusiast. You want the latest and greatest, and you have fear that you're going to be missing out on something if you go with a base model. Just get the 17 Pro. It'll put that mind at rest. But you are paying a little bit more because it is the Pro. So whatever you found yourself resonating with the most, you probably had some thoughts and feelings, though you found yourself being more pulled to on some of the things I was telling you based on my experience. That is the phone for you. Like, don't even question it. You're going to be happy with that phone more if you find yourself more pulled to those options. Also, remember, you could always return these if one doesn't work out for you, and then you could just switch over to the Pro anyway, or go to the Pro and go to 17. So it's really up to you. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, which one you would choose. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you all in the next comparison. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.